Hi guys! In this video I'm going to demonstrate how to make a clay gourd using the pinching method of hand building. First, I like to gather my tools that I think I might use. Here I have two different types of scoring tools and two different wooden modeling tools that are going to help shape my texture. I'm starting with plastic clay, and I have chosen a gourd that I'm going to try to recreate in clay. I'm going to start by creating a small pinch pot, which is going to represent the wide end of my gourd. Pressing my thumb into the middle of the ball, leaving about 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch, I will gradually and gently start to pinch out a little bowl. I don't want my walls to become too thin, but I really don't want them any thicker than 1/2 inch. Any surface cracks that develop along the way can easily be rubbed out with your finger. My goal is to try to create a similar form and size to the gourd that I'm using as my model. The second half of my gourd is going to be the more pointed end where the stem is. I'm using my thumb to shape the clay around it so I can keep the pinch pot narrower at the bottom. My goal is to create more of a coned shape pinch pot, which is more similar to that side of the gourd. I'm trying to keep the opening diameter of both of my pots equal, since I will eventually be joining them. Before I can join the two pots together, I need to score the surface by roughing it up with a scoring tool and adding a little bit of slip over the area I've scored. The slip will act as a glue and help those pinch pots from breaking apart. The clay that I was using was a very soft plastic, so I'm really not using too much slip because I don't want my gourd to become too soft and too flexible. As I push them together, I give them a little squeeze and a little wiggle to allow any excess slip to squirt out the edges. Then I'm using my fingers to do my best to pinch and seal the seam where those two pots meet. I find typically working in one direction is a little easier. I also like using the backs of my nails, and if your fingers don't feel strong enough to blend the seam, you can also try using one of your modeling tools. The key is to blend it completely so there's no risk of that separating. There should be no indication of a seam anywhere. As a hollow form, the air inside is actually providing structure so that my gourd will not cave in. That's pretty similar. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on trying to add a little bit of that surface variation I see in the gourd. There's these raised lines that wrap around the gourd. So I'm taking a small coil and I'm scoring the surface that I'm going to join it to. And again, I will carefully blend that down, allowing for a raised edge. If your fingers feel too big, try using a wooden tool. It will provide a bit of a firmer blend, and sometimes you can get into areas where your fingers don't fit. The key again is to blend it seamlessly so the clay is fully integrated and there's no risk of that popping off when it dries. I'm going to continue doing this until I've worked all the way around the gourd. At this point, I think I'll speed up the video a bit. Now that I've added all the ridges that I wanted to join to my gourd, I'm trying to pay attention to those little details, those little bumps and warts that are on the surface of the gourd that make it so interesting looking. I'm doing this with little balls of clay that I'm blending in at the seams to just look like raised bumps on the gourd. I'm not scoring and slipping these because the clay is so soft, and I'm really integrating these to be a part of the clay, so there's no concern that these are going to pop off. If the clay were not as soft, I may do this. Now that I've added all the warts and bumps, I'm going to pay attention to more details, like what does that stem look like around the top of the gourd? Using this rounded wooden tool, I'm impressing and denting into the clay to make it look as if that stem is attached to the top. These wooden modeling tools are great for adding contours and dips to your piece as you work. The devil is in the details. As you work on your form, always be looking at your model. Make sure to look at it from all different directions and visually and physically compare them. This clay's still pretty soft, so I'll allow this to get leather hard, and I might be able to fine-tune a few details when it's not quite so soft. Since this is a hollow form, there's a very important step that I cannot overlook. That would be to make certain that I provide an air hole for air to escape. Otherwise, the gourd will blow up in the kiln. Using a needle tool, I'm creating a small hole in both stems of the gourd, the top and the bottom, to allow for air to flow. And then I'll wrap my piece, allow it to become a little leather hard, and make any finishing touches I would like to have. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great time.